Today is a good day for Discord because this piece of absolute garbage is now sitting in jail for preying on kids on Discord. But this is not just your typical case of a Discord predator, because according to the news, he's also labeled as a terrorist as well. Now, taking a look at this fella, my first thoughts were, yeah, it makes sense, he is a creep. This is Richard Anthony Reyna Densmore of Cleva, Michigan, who is 47 years old. Now, according to an article by Headline USA, Richard Densmore is a U.S. military veteran with a history of mental illness. The mental illness probably came from being in the military. Gotta love the U.S. military. But Richard Densmore was formerly diagnosed with schizophrenia and borderline personality disorder during his time in the military. And according to an article by the Detroit News, according to Christopher Gibbons, who is Richard's attorney, Mr. Gibbons said that Densmore has struggled with mental illness, anxiety, and depression his whole entire life. And he mentioned that his client's problems, which we'll get to in like 2 seconds, grew worse after his ex-wife died from cancer. Now, despite all these problems, it doesn't excuse what he did. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, when I was first looking at this, it was only like 9 months of things going on. No, this has been happening for the last 2 years. Because back in August 2022, the FBI received a complaint about a Discord user named Rabid, who was getting minors to create CSAM content and encourage in SH. I'm using abbreviations because if I say the full thing, YouTube gets mad. But in August 2022, the FBI quickly identified Rabid as being Richard Densmore. But according to the complaint received by the FBI, a minor victim reported to investigators that she met Rabid on Discord in or around August 2022. The victim was 15 years old at the time and told Rabid that she was a minor. The victim knew that Rabid's first name was Richard. Thank goodness these creeps are really dumb and just give their whole ass name. But Rabid, Richard Densmore, told her that he created a Discord server or chat room called Sewer. Now, the purpose of this Sewer server was to stream CSAM content and SH content. And the thing that Richard Densmore did is that he told the girl victim to solicit people to stream content on his Discord server Sewer. And the girl victim streamed a video of herself on Sewer where she inserted an ice cube up there. So not only is this Richard guy getting victims, but he's getting his victims to find other victims to stream content on his disgusting Discord server. And that's what was found by the FBI. And in fact, the FBI executed a search warrant on Densmore's home last February, so February 2023, that far back. And during that search warrant, they found CSAM content. And for some reason, Densmore was a free man for another 11 months. There's a reason why I don't cover a lot of this stuff all the time, because when you read something like this, you just question reality. But fortunately, things actually do end up in a positive direction. Remember, he does end up in jail. That's how we got this photo of him. But then at the start of the year, the investigators executed a second search warrant on his home. And after finishing that search warrant, they found 2 cell phones hidden in an air vent in his bedroom. And you can only assume what's on those cell phones, considering he's hiding it in an air vent. And fortunately, this did actually result in an arrest. Things were going downhill, but he's finally been arrested. And then the week after he's arrested, on Monday on his preliminary hearing, prosecutors, the people trying to put Richard Densmore behind bars, argued that he should be held in pretrial detention because he demonstrated violent proclivities. And what they mean by violent proclivities actually refers to what's above. When they went through those cell phones, they didn't fully analyze them, but they found images on one of the phones that included a girl with Rabid, his Discord username, written on her forehead. And I'm just gonna say it now, a 47-year-old getting a person to write their Discord username on their forehead is already an indicator on how mentally far gone this dude is. But then there's also images of cutting, specifically an image where someone cut the letter R for Rabid or Richard into a young woman's chest. So at this point, it's pretty clear to see that this guy is definitely in the violent category. He has CSAM content on his phone, he has photos of people hurting themselves, and he also has guns, ammo, and other weapons in his house. Now, this might be a hot take, but I would probably put this guy in pre-trial detention so he doesn't, find any other victims. And it turns out common sense isn't common sense, because Judge Kent denied the government's request for pretrial detention on the grounds that there were no allegations that Densmore was a hands-on offender. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, I do not know what the this guy was thinking. I think the judge is one of those people where he's like, oh, you're being harassed online, just log off. As you'll see, that's not really an option when it comes to what these people are doing, because I'll dive deeper into the types of extortion that these guys do. In fact, instead of putting this dude in jail while they figure out all the trial stuff, instead the judge decided to release him on the same day on a $10,000 unsecured bond. He was just free to go and continue as he pleases, and he knew the end was coming. At some point, he was gonna go to jail, but hey, now he had one last last opportunity to just keep going. Now, fortunately, there actually was some brain cells in this whole entire operation, because the next day, the Department of Justice filed an emergency motion and basically dropped new and disturbing details about Densmore. They dropped the whole entire lore behind this guy, which is actually what I read to you. Right now, everything seems doom and gloom, but things are on the up and up, baby. Because this was back in February 2024, and on March 15th, 2024, there was this nice, beautiful legal document that dropped. A plea agreement between Richard Anthony Reyna Densmore, aka Rabid, and he is versus the United States of America. Now, the thing with this plea agreement is that if they convince Richard to sign this plea agreement, they can fast forward the whole entire legal process and put this guy behind bars a lot quicker. Now, in this plea deal, if Richard signed the plea deal, he would basically be admitting that he is guilty to the following events. And this should be a really good case for you to pay attention to the connections you're making on Discord, because everything can be used against you. So on September 29th, defendant Richard sent a message to a minor whose name is anonymized to Jane Doe, asking for a request. Now, in the plea deal, they point out that prior to September 29th, when this event happened, Richard was informed that the lady that he's talking to is a minor under the age of 18. And what he asked Jane Doe to do, the minor, is to send him an image of her chest with his username Rabid written on them. This is something stupid that I would expect from like a young adult who's never talked to a woman before. This is a 47-year-old man. And considering that the person who is supposed to write on their chest is a fucking minor, this predator is completely Oh, but it just gets worse, by the way, because Richard also sent Jane Doe, the minor, Discord Nitro in an effort to persuade her to send the requested image. For anyone that's young that's watching this, please do not take Discord Nitro as a bribe to do things that you know are going to be bad for you. But a day later, on September 30th, the minor actually made the right choice and expressed reservations about sending the requested image to Richard, the predator. But that's where things took a turn for the worst, because Richard, the Discord predator, sent a message to another Discord user who was known as Person A in this plea deal, who had an online relationship with the minor. Person A was e-dating the minor. Now, unfortunately, in this plea deal, we don't know if Person A is a minor or if they're an adult. I would assume if they're an adult, then he would also be going to jail quite shortly. But the Discord predator asked Person A, the guy e-dating the minor, to tell the minor to give me a full body image with Rabid written on her. And to get Person A to do this, the Discord predator sent Discord Nitro. Do you want to know what Person A did? Person A, after being given Discord Nitro, emotionally persuaded Jane Doe to send the Discord predator and Person A an explicit video of herself over the internet, nude, with parts visible, and Rabid written on her. So we have a Discord predator trying to get an image of a minor by offering Discord Nitro to bribe her, and when the predator didn't get what he wanted, he went to the minor's e-boyfriend and gave him Nitro to try and get him to emotionally manipulate the minor into sending CSAM content, because at the end of the day, this is CP. And the unfortunate thing is that having another person in the situation, Person A, is actually not something that's atypical in this case. In fact, it's just a hint on what's so up with this whole entire thing. But anyways, if you scroll down to the bottom of the plea deal, you see Richard Anthony Reyna Densmore signing away the plea deal and eventually making things move faster so he gets put behind bars. And according to an article by the Detroit News on July 19, 2024, Densmore is scheduled to be sentenced on November 7th. And well, look at that, ladies and gentlemen, it do be past November 7th. And what has happened to Richard Densmore? Well, considering we're looking at this photo, there's a pretty good hint of what's going on.
I'm going to jail!
Now here's the thing, the way that this showed up on my radar was actually when I was looking at the Department of Justice, looking at their press releases, and there's a press release, and this is where we get into the deep end of this whole entire situation, because the press release on November 7th is member of violent 764 terror network sentenced to 30 years in prison for exploiting a child. Richard Densmore is not just a predator. In fact, he was someone that hosted a group of internet predators. And now it's time to talk about the 764 terror network. Now, I'm not going to specifically talk about 764. I just paint all these guys as pieces of garbage. Their name does not matter. The main thing is that this is an extortion group. They all operate the same, but back on September 12th, 2023, the FBI actually released a public service announcement talking about these sort of groups. And inside of this public service announcement, the FBI is warning the public of violent online groups deliberately targeting minor victims on publicly available messaging platforms, Discord, to extort them into recording or live streaming acts of SH and producing CSAM content. And what these groups do is they use threats, blackmail, and manipulation to control the victims into recording or live streaming SH, any explicit acts, and or the life stop button. You can't say that word on YouTube. And using that awful footage, it's then circulated amongst members to extort victims further and exert control over them. Now, the way that these groups work is actually quite simple. What these groups will do is that they'll target specific people between the ages of 8 to 17 years old, especially LGBTQ+ youth, racial minorities, and those who struggle with a variety of mental health issues. When it comes to Discord groups, what these people will do is they will try to find victims in mental health Discord servers or any femboy or LGBT servers. So if you're in any of those communities, just keep your eyes open, don't trust anyone. But what these groups will also do, which is something that I'm aware of and it's not actually pointed out in this PSA, is that on Discord, sometimes these groups will make their own Discord servers to try and recruit people into their extortion community. Now, this doesn't apply to every single server, but any Discord server that's trying to be edgy or semi-toxic, or they show a whole bunch of gore, or there's no rules, there's a non-zero chance that it's run by someone that's trying to get you into one of these communities. If it's a mental health server that they're trying to find victims on, what they'll do is they'll find people who are really down on their luck, and they'll try to be very supportive and try to help you out. But what they're doing is they're just pulling you away from the server and trying to isolate you. And for the LGBTQ+ servers, they'll try to love bomb you, which also happens once they isolate you from mental health servers. They'll love bomb you so that you feel loved and you feel good. But all that's doing is just building up a fake sense of trust. And eventually what these people will do is they'll ask you for an explicit photo. And what these people will do is they will extort you. So for example, if you sent a nude photo, they will say, I'm going to send this nude photo to your family unless you do X thing. And usually what they ask for are more CSAM videos, videos depicting animal cruelty, which is something I've been told happens a fair bit, and SH. And eventually they keep building more and more things to extort you off of, making you do more and more insane things and making your life miserable. And their end goal is forcing you to commit bye-bye on live stream. And the point of all this, you would assume, is like, are they making money by selling the CSAM content? No, it's not that simple, you know. That would be like a rational human being that isn't an internet loser. They do this for their own entertainment or their own sense of fame. They want to be seen as the coolest guy in the Discord server. Now, that's how those groups work, but I actually want to have like a really honest conversation, and there's a very important drawback of me covering this. But as more information becomes publicly available, content creators like myself have attempted to raise awareness of the dangers that these groups pose. The first issue is that while this is well-meaning, like I'm not trying to say, hey, go out there and make your life miserable, but just the fact of me covering and saying the name in a video is sought out by the individuals associated with the group. And I've seen this happen to me personally. I've had people involved in communities like this reach out to me in DMs saying, I'm part of this awful community. I want you to interview me. Like, they will brag about them doing all this illegal stuff, and then I just brag to my friends that I reported them to the feds. And the issue with my video in particular, the one I'm making right now, is the fact that the content also encourages individuals either implicitly or explicitly to seek out more information on the group and possibly put themselves at risk of becoming victims. There are going to be people that watch this video that either just want to seek out this stuff to try and fight it, or maybe they're just morbidly curious. Please listen to me for once. Do not join these servers, because the last thing you want is the FBI kicking down your door because you joined the Discord server. But in this article, they point out that increased moderation of this content is necessary to limit the reach of this extortion network, prevent information, and reduce further victimization. Increased moderation is necessary. Now, you and I both know, if you watch Discord videos or if you've been on Discord long enough, we know Discord sucks when it comes to reporting messages. It feels like nothing happens. However, this is where I give you that good information that offsets all the negatives of this video. If you are a victim of an extortion group, whether it be people trying to swat or dox you, or people trying to get you to produce CSAM content, what you need to do, the most powerful thing you can do, is go to your local law enforcement or police station and report it to them and tell them everything. And to be honest, this is tough for people to do. It's scary because they think the people extorting them are going to figure out and then leak all their photos. It's also scary because people don't want their parents knowing that they're going through all this stuff. It's really scary, but reporting your extortion to local law enforcement is 100 times more effective than anything else that you can do. And the final benefit is that they'll actually give you really good advice on what to do. However, if you're not willing to take that step yet, there are things like the NCMEC cyber tip line, which is a way to anonymously report stuff like this. It's always a good idea to report things to the NCMEC, but just know they get swamped with a lot of reports. The NCMEC also has a service called TakeItDown, which allows you to take down videos and images of you if you are a minor and your photos are being leaked. That's super helpful in terms of reducing the stress on you and allowing you to go to local law enforcement. And the final thing you should do, it's going to sound counterintuitive, sensitive, but always report any bad messages you see on Discord. It does two things. The most important thing that it does is it actually saves the message on Discord so that Discord can go through your report. So even if they delete it, Discord has it on their own servers. But the second thing this can do is it could actually maybe get some people banned. But if you have the chance of slightly increasing the moderation, then you have the chance of slightly reducing further victimization. And I'd rather take a slight chance at reducing victimization than no chance at all. Now, I want to point out one last thing with this blog post is the fact that in terms of these extortion communities, it's very important to highlight that the majority of the threat actors, these people doing the extortion, and the victims are minors, and the majority of which have marks of SH, evidence of trauma or vulnerabilities. It is just the cycle of abuse. These people become the victims, then they become the people that create victims. But in the case of Richard Anthony Reyna Densmore, it's pretty clear he's far from being 18, unless he's like Benjamin Button or something. But going back to the press release by the US Department of Justice, Densmore, known as Rabid, became notorious in the extortion network by creating online sewer communities on Discord. And the most egregious thing of this all is that Densmore boosted membership in sewer by advertising live streams of children engaging in SH and explicit activity on cam. Now, it's implied here that these people are going on Discord voice calls, and the reason why they're doing that is because you can't really report a Discord voice call, which again explains why you should go to local law enforcement, because they will find a way to deal with this properly so that these people can be put behind bars, which is evident because I'm literally talking about it right now, and they're describing how this stuff happened on cam. But what this 47-year-old Discord predator said is he threatened victims to commit SH by telling them, "I have all your information. I own you. You do what I say now, kitten." A 47-year-old saying kitten to a child. Anyways, getting to the celebration part, Richard Densmore will spend the next 30 years in federal prison. I wish it was more, but considering he's almost 50 plus 30, yeah, dude's cooked. And again, can we rewind all the way back? All of this started after the FBI received a complaint in August 2022 from the minor victim. This one minor victim caused all of this to happen for this dude to go in jail, which is a massive accomplishment. Anyways, I think I've been through it all for today, and I think it's time for me to go outside and enjoy some nature and some sunshine because I have had enough of the internet for today. Bye bye, I love you. Mwah.